สุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนะมามิหันธรรมยังพุทธัสสะปุพพะคะนะมะการันเทวะพุทธานุสตินยัญจะกะโรมาเสหินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะสังโฆปนะภะคะวันตังเอวังกัลยาโนกิตติสัตโตอะภุคโตอิติปิโสภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณะสัมปันโนสุขโตโลกวิทูอนุตตโรปุริสธรรมสารติสัทธาเทวมนุสสานังพุทโธภควาติหันธรรมยังพุทธาภิกขิติงกโรมาเสหิพุทธวาระหันตวรตาติกุณาภิยุโตสุทาภิญาณกรุณาหิสัมมาคัตโตโพธิสิโยสุจนะตังกัมมรังวสุโรวันธามหังตมรดังศิรสาจิเนทังพุทโธโยสัมภปาลินังสารนังเขมามุตตมังปัฏฐมานุสติฐานังวันทามิตังสิเรนะหังพุทธัสสะหัสสมิทาสิวะพุทโธเมสาวิกิสโรพุทโธทุกขัสสะกาตาจะวิทาตาจะหิตาสเมพุทธัสสะหังนิยาเตมิสริรัญชีวิตัญชิตังวันทันตุหังจริสามิพุทธัสเสวะสุโพธิตังนาทิเมสรนังอัญญังพุทโธเมสรนังวรังเอเตนะสัจวัจเจนะวัฏยังสาธุสาสเนพุทธังเมวันธมาเนนะยังปุญญังปัสสุตังอิทังสัพเพปิอันตรายาเมมเหสุนตัสสะเตชะสาพุทเทกัปปะมังปะกตังมะยายังพุทโธปฏิคันหะตุอาชยันตังอารันตเรสังวริตุวะพุทเทหันธรรมยังธัมมานุสตินยังกโรมาเสหิสวากขาโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมสันทิติโกอาการิโกเอหิปัสสิโกโอปัญญิโกปัจจตังเวทิตาโพวิญโยหิติหันธรรมยังธัมมาภิกขิติงกโรมาเสหิสวากขาตาตาทิปุณโยภวเสนะสยโยโยมาคปาปะปริยาติวิโมคข โมเมสามิกิสโรธัมโมทุกขาสัคคาตาจะวิทาตาจะหิตาสเมธัมมัสสาหังนิยาเทมิสริรันชีวิตันจิตังวันทันตุหังจริสามิธัมมัสเสวสุธัมมตังนาทิเมสรนังอัญญังธัมโมเมสรนังวรังเอเตนะสัจจวัชเชนะวันเทยังสาธุสาสเนธัมมังเมวันธมานานายังปุญญังปัสสุตังกิทังสัพเพปิอันตรายาเมมเหสุงตัจจเตชะสาอาเยนะวะชายะวะเจสสาวาธัมเมกุปมังปะกตังมยายังนะโมปฏิคันหาตุวะชยันตังกาลันทะเรสังวริโตวะธัมเมหันธามายังสังฆานุสตินายังกโรมาเสสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆอุชุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆญาญาปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสามีจิปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆญาติธังจัตตาริปุริสยุคานิอัตถปุริสปุถคละเอสาภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆอาหุนายโยปาหุนายโยทักขินายโยอัญชลิกรณิโยอนุตตรังปุญญเขตังโลกัสสติอันธามายังสังฆาภิเกติงกโรมาเสสัทธามัจโชสุปฏิปันติคุณาทิยุตโตโยธามิโตอริยปุคลสังฆเสโตสิลาติธรรมปวาราสยกายจิตโตวันธามหังตมริยานัคนังสุสุตังสังโฆโยสัพพปานินังสรณังเขมาพุทธมังตาติยานุสติตานังวันทามิตังสิเรนังสังฆาสาหัสมิทาสุมาสังโฆเมสามิกิสโรสังโฆดุขัสสตาตาจะวิทาตาจะหิตาสเมสังฆาสาหังนิยาเตมิสริรันชีวิตันจิตังวันทันตุหังจริสามิสังฆาโสปฏิปันนตังนาทิเมสรนังอัญญังสังโฆเมสรนังวรังเอเกนะสัจจวัชเชนะวันเตยังสาธุสาสเนสังฆังเมวันธมาเนนะยังปุญญังปัสสุตังกิทังสัพเพปิอันตรา สังเฆหันธามายังสารพันเยนะพุทธมังคลกาทายโยภานามาเสสัมพุทโธทิปาทาเสตุเมสิโนเจวาม
everyone. Just first announcement that on the New Year Eve we will have an overnight chanting. So you are most welcome to join the chanting. And then the following day, the 1st of January, again we will have a blessing chanting for the New Year.
So does it mean we will be awake all night?
You don't have to. 1 o'clock.
Until 1 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah. We finish at 1 o'clock.
And what time is the morning chanting? 7.
It's still 7 o'clock, but again we'll have a 10 o'clock chanting as well, blessing chanting. So that's the announcement. And also on the 26th, BJ will be departing from Aberdeen to London. So since I booked the ticket, he's very happy. He's smiling all the time. So this Sunday also, monks are away for the house blessing this Sunday. And this Sunday evening, both will be attending a Christmas carol at this church by I normally call it the Mormon church. Right? So just beside the ARI. So in the evening, so that's why on a Sunday we'll not have chanting as well. Okay, so
Saturday we have Sila program for the kids.
this Saturday, yes. Oh, this Saturday. Not Sila program, just the Lama school. And then end of 28, I think, we'll have a talent show, children's talent show, which I haven't asked them yet, so we'll do on this Saturday.
You said Sila program on the group.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right, so that's good. Okay, so tonight is Wednesday night. So as usual, we are here to learn the meditation. When we look at our life, when we become unwell, we go to see the doctor. But before that, we won't bother about the doctors or the medicine. And then after we have seen the doctor will prescribe the medicine. And then once we have taken the medicine, we feel better. And after that again, we do not bother them again. But in case if we feel ill and those medicine doesn't work and we continue feeling unwell, then we will go back again and again, and then from there, then the doctors again will refer to the specialists, and then further checkups will begin. And then each time when we go and we have an expectation that after seeing this doctor and the prescription, the new prescription, not the old one, new prescription that we receive, and then after eating that, I will be free. I will be free from this illness. I will be happy, like that. And then after eating that medicine, again, if doesn't make any difference, still feel unwell, and then again we go back for the further checkups. So this goes on and on. But for those who have taken the medicine and got the cure, and they will be freed from that and will not think of going back to the same situation and condition that that person is going through. Whereas someone who still feel and experiencing these illnesses and diseases, then will go back and find different ways to cure themselves. Whether that is a modern medicine or whether that is the traditional medicine or even any form, whatever introduce you to that saying that, oh, if you do this one, it may help you. Then, without any further investigation, we will jump into that boat and then try on it, like that. Some would be able to help and others may not be. It depends. Now think about in a similar context that in the practice of a meditation, oftentimes we find that lots of people are exposed to the meditation and thinking that this is the one, and then try on, and after trying, and they felt like, okay, this is the medicine, and now I have taken and I feel better, and then away, and then never come back, never do it again. And then meantime, some would say that, oh, this is really helpful, I better keep it going and keep it doing. And then after a while, then caught up with the worldly affairs and then businesses that we have to deal with that. Then again, I will do it tomorrow, and that tomorrow never comes. Like that. Whereas if we have seen the benefit clearly, and then this illness and the danger that we are facing, coming back to the samsara, this life of a birth and a death, repeatedly we are facing it. When we understood that, it's like an ongoing disease that we are having. That we are trying to find a cure so that we do not have to face again these rebirths. So, the very moment when we understood that concept, that it is not just this life that we are working, it is not just for this life that we feel comfortable and happy and free from the illnesses, but when we think about each time when we have to come back and being born, and we still have to face it again and again, and then thinking that, why should I be born again? Then we will put a lot of effort to practice meditation and try to understand that why am I having this rebirth again and again? How can I end this rebirth? So with this in mind, once we have seen that coming back to this repeated rebirths is a danger, and there's always kind of illnesses and the suffering, then what we will be doing is that it's like a searching for the new medicine with the different doctors. So we will be spending more time in the practice and investigating in the practice that why and how I can develop in it. So with that, once we have got this understanding, what happens that we will become a little bit of more conscious about the way we speak, the way we do, and the way we think. Because in a conventional level, when we think about these actions, we are looking through physical action and verbal actions, whereas when we practice meditation, gradually we begin to see that every action that we are doing is basically what we think. That thinking actually forms or manifests further reactions, and that's how we will be speaking and doing. And that with that doing and speaking, basically we are forming new things, creating something new. Now, when we are practicing in this way, practicing meditation, gradually we are able to recognize this thinking or thoughts, mental state, rather than a gross level. We are seeing it in a subtle level. when we see in a subtle level in that way, and gradually we will be able to minimize it one after another, until we can completely stop it and stop the recreation, stop the regenerating and rebirths. Right? So that is the ultimate goal. And that's why, in order to have that, we have to have different levels of knowledge. Now, first knowledge we received from the beginning was that before we do not know how to meditate, the very moment when we come and learn how to meditate, we began to pay attention to on the breath, then immediately we got the basic knowledge that, oh, there is a breath. I feel the breath. Yeah? So that is the beginning of a knowledge. And then from that knowledge, and gradually it extends to see that the breath is one thing, my awareness is another. Right? And then further on, breath is something which is not tangible. But the very moment when it comes to contact with our senses, then there is a feeling. And then we began to understand that the feeling itself is not mine. That's another thing. And then the mind is another thing, like that. And then everything is interconnected, and depending one another, another thing is arising, like that. So these are the levels of understanding. And gradually it comes to the stage that we see everything is conditioned, created, and then when this becomes unconditioned, then it just becomes the empty. Just called a sunyata, or anatta. And then the very moment when we realize that, that is the ending. So that's the highest knowledge, called a nibbita or nibbana. So that's the knowledge. So when we are practicing now, it's up to us that which level we are in, and which stage we have understood, and the knowledge that we have acquired. Sometimes we are still in breath, other time we are working with the sensations, feelings, and other time we are looking at the thoughts. But all, we still have the foundation to be with that, so that foundation is the breath, incoming and outgoing. So always start from it, and then gradually see the difference, and not holding on to the breath, but seeing different stages and different levels of it. And we got to be, this knowledge is so-called not staying with that, but ability to change if that's possible. So that's why when we are paying attention to the breath, at that time when we see that this is no more nothing to hold on to it, so move on to the feeling. When we are working on the feeling, then realize that, oh, this feeling is like that, no need to worry about it. Now I am knowing it, so I am thinking of it, I am. But then again, so paying attention to the mental state. And then further on, after paying attention to that mental state, again understanding that the mind itself is conditioned, and this condition creates, and eventually this is changing nature. So like that. So we have to be very clever in it, and changing the objects in it as well. Okay? So with this reflection, now this is time for the practice of the meditation. So sitting in a comfortable position, relax. relax yourself. And bring your attention to be mindful of your sitting position here and now. Acknowledging and then please spend some time with the breath. Incoming breath and outgoing breath. Just to settle yourself down. Knowing each breath that comes in and goes out. Like the sitting at the bank of the river and watching the river flow. So breathing in and breathing out. Noticing each breath that comes in and goes out. Keep your mind alert and awake to notice each breath that comes in and goes out. And try to distinguish the different breaths. Long breath, short breath, shallow breath, deep breath, pause. So having a clear awareness of each breath. If that's a long, knowing that this is a long breath. If that's a short breath, it's a short breath. You may further investigate that why am I having this long breath? Why am I having this short breath?
can say.
Today I went down to three competitions earlier, and then this is only because I have done the eye test with Specsavers. Yeah. Two only have my prescription. Yeah. So they are basically for registration paper. So it may take 2 weeks to get it last start.
So nice, this planting here.
Went down to see them.
Auditory.
They do their best, but probably 2 weeks. And I was looking at what options I have. We can have contact with, but then I come back today again.
How's Sophia? Is here? Is
No, she's in Nottingham.
Nottingham, okay.
She like next week. Yeah. How's your girls?
They are good. Yeah. It's at home, mother.
Oh, so grown up, is it?
อันนี้ไม่ต้องเป็นทุกวัน 2 weeks time. Too fast.
Christmas is coming. Yes, I'm organizing the Christmas party this year as well on 30th. So we're going to do it. We did last year this year. So I'm excited to find the time and hopefully people are getting kind of last year. So far we have like last year was 120. Courses in Aberdeen and like it's got John comfortable or something like that. Yeah, because it's quite convenient. There's a car park next to it as well. Quite what they call. Yeah, the place to freezer was really nice.
Depends on the girl. They sometimes
Oh,
they like no, they want to come in. I wouldn't mind. I just like I like yeah, but they like prefer counting down to the so
yeah.
yes. They usually come to the temple. They're fine, but I think the 31st night especially. You come.
Okay, so while waiting for other members to come in. Anybody wants to share? Any questions? David?
Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, so while we are waiting for other, any question, anybody wants to share anything? Before I move on to scripture. Okay. So we have been studying this year on the Anapanasati, and this is still related to the Anapanasati, that when we are unable to be mindful of, then that basically leads to the formations or manifestations on the things that we come across, whether the things that we see, hear, smell, touch, and even thinking, that simply proliferates. But the very moment when we become mindful and coming back to here and now, then that basically having this knowledge to be in the present moment. When we are in the present moment, then we have at least of a basic knowledge, wisdom, discerning that this is here. So there is no other things invading or other things working on. That's why the practice of mindfulness on the breath becomes the part to keep us in that, as a part to keep us in the present moment. Now I will read this one discourse which is related to the Anapanasati to extend our understanding. Right? So I have to take off my glass like this to see the letters. And if I want to see you, I have to change this. I do the same. Okay. So this sutta, this discourse says, at Savatthi, because this body is not yours, nor does it belong to others. It is all karma, to be seen as generated and fashioned by volition, as something to be felt. Therein, because the instructed noble disciple attends carefully and closely to dependent origination itself, thus, when this exists, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. With the cessation of this, that ceases. This is with ignorance as condition, volitional formations comes to be. With the volitional formations as condition, consciousness such as the origin of this whole mass of suffering, but with the reminderless fading away and a cessation of ignorance comes cessation of evolutional formations, with the cessation of evolutional formations, cessation of the consciousness. Such is the cessation of this whole mass of the suffering. So here, the first practice is saying that this body is not yours, nor does it belongs to others. Right? So that is the first thing that we have to understand. Right?
What is this discourse?
Sorry?
What's the name of the discourse?
The discourse name is called Not Yours. Not yours. And here says that this body is, so it is all karma. So it is all karma to be seen as generated and fashioned by evolution. So fashioned by evolution. So this is the result of our own old karma. So we are having this body. And then because of the old karma, we are here. And then because we are here, and it will further on. Right? And in order to clear it, we have to read another discourse, which is the second after that. So that's in the same similar place. Right? At Savatthi, because what one intends and what one plans and whatever one has a tendency towards, this becomes a basis for the maintenance of a consciousness. When there is a basis, there is a support for the establishing of a consciousness. When consciousness is established and has come to growth, there is the production of a future renewed existence. When there is the production of a future renewed existence, future birth, aging, and a death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, pleasure, and a despair comes to be. Such is the origin of this whole mass of suffering. If because one does not intend and one does not plan, but one still has a tendency towards something, this becomes a basis for the maintenance of a consciousness. When there is a basis, there is a support for the establishing of consciousness. Such is the origin of the whole mass of the suffering. But because when one does not intend and one does not plan and one does not have a tendency towards something, no basis exists for the maintenance of a consciousness. When there is no basis, there is no support for the establishing of a consciousness. When consciousness is unestablished and does not come to growth, there is no production of future renewed existence. When there is no production of a future renewed existence, future birth, aging, and a death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, pleasure, and a despair cease. Such is the cessation of a whole mass of suffering. Okay? So this is basically saying that first, this body that we have is the old karma, the result of our old karma. And because of that, again, we are forming again, thinking again, and creating again. And that creating again started from what we intend, evolution wants to do. So, whenever we come to contact with the outside world, then because of the evolution that we have, then straight away we create something. Intend to have, intend not to have. And then with that, what is happening here, that we are creating that this object or this object becomes the relevant, and then we attach to that relevant object. So we create, it's called a bhava, creating existence. And with that, in creating then what happens? There consciously we are aware of that. So consciously we're thinking of that. When we are consciously thinking of that, what happens? That goes into the subconsciousness. And sometimes we do not, although we say that we do not think about it, often when something, the condition comes, it just comes back. It just comes back from the subtle consciousness, it comes back again. So that's it. The moment when it becomes the consciousness, consciously aware of that, then again creates furthermore. Right? Creating further on that. And that's how the very moment when we have a volitional intention on that particular object that we come across, then that is the beginning of a new birth. And then that beginning of a new birth, then that is bringing to have this body. And as again in that, the previous sutta, the discourse saying, this body is not yours, no others. This body is not yours, no others. Right? So that is also, we have to remember in it as well. And which is the reason why when we take this body as a mind, that's how we feel suffering. We feel suffering. And then because of that, the more we become attached to it, the greater the suffering we experience. And then with that attachment again, what happens is that we do not want to die. And we hold on to it. And then we have a fear of a death. And we're thinking that there is no after. And with that, what happens? We want to live long life. So striving it through whichever ways we want to live long. And then when we hear somebody died, and then we feel, oh. And in the meantime, we forgot that we also going to die too, like that. But whereas the moment when we understand that this is not mine, and in the same time, the second phrase, it is not others. So that means we have a responsibility to look after it too. Not like a discarding, not looking after it. We have to look after it. So here, when it says looking after it, the Buddha is referring that we have to be practicing the four sublime. We have to be kind, right? Kind to this body. We have to be compassionate to this body. And also, we have to rejoice, that's called altruistic joy, right? Or mudita. So you have to celebrate, oh, I have no illness today. Or sometimes when you feel very tired and you have a good sleep, and then, you have a good time now. So it's like giving appreciation to this body that, oh, you don't have any trouble. And in the meantime, the last one, that is the equanimity. Sometimes you have to let it be equanimous. Some diseases can be cured, other diseases can't. In those cases, it's okay. Better than so many other people. Better than so many people that are going through the different diseases. I am still better. This body is still better. It's like there are so many people, they even can't walk, but I can walk. Like that. And then ability to keep the mind in equanimous in that way. And let it, this body. And understanding that this body doesn't matter how we want it to be, it won't be like that. Day by day, it's just become a fragile and fragile and fragile, like that. So, by this way, then, when we look at in this way, when we are coming back to the anapanasati, the breathing meditation, what the Buddha is referring here is that from the very early stage, so sometimes we have a confusion on the practice of this anapanasati, that whether we can practice it from the samatha or vipassana, right? The calming meditation or the insight meditation. Is it possible to practice it? No. Then, when we look at the scripture, then we realize that Buddha didn't classify it into the samatha and vipassana. Right? He simply said that this is how you practice. But Venerable Sariputta explains in a way that you can practice to discern it from the very beginning, from the first breath. Right? When you pay attention to the first breath, you are thinking or you are having this knowledge to understand that this is not mine, nor this is others. So here body, referring to that stage, the initial stage. Right? So this breath is not mine, no others. Right? If I say this is mine, I should be able to keep it. But I can't keep this breath. And then if I say this is others, then it's repeatedly coming back to me again and again, whether we like it or not. Right? So like that. So, Venerable Sariputta in Patisambhida Magga explaining that each breath, when we pay attention to it, we have to see in this way. In order to see in this way, again, we have to realize that each breath that is coming in and going out is the natural fact that this will be changing all the time. Okay? It is changing all the time, this breath. So, from the beginning, we are practicing it to see the natural phenomena of the change. So that's how this is practicing, in a way, Vipassana meditation from the first breath. Each breath that coming in and going out. And then each breath that we pay attention to it, so that's a kaya, it's called the breath body, is not mine, nor this is others. So that's why when we are breathing out, and again, within that breath, again, we have to be mindful, sharing with it, breathing out with a kindness. Okay, like that. Whereas, if we go to the commentary, this Visuddhimagga, the Visuddhimagga explaining in a way of the calming meditation. Okay? So, each breath that we are paying attention to is simply to gain the concentration, serenity. Right? In particular, the first four stages, the kaya nupassana, the contemplation of the breath, that is referring to the contemplation, the samatha meditation. So in that's why when you're paying attention to the breath coming in and going out, you're trying to focus on it so that no hindrances will come and disturb. Your mind is not distracted. You completely absorb and focus on it. That's how you will be able to practice each stages at one at a time. That's why there are 8 stages to practice. That's why it's called 8 jnanas, different jnanas, right? So when a long breath, we know, short breath, we know. And then it's again connected to the body, we know. And then how this body forms, we know that. Now, after we have attained the 4th stage of the kaya nupassana, then after that, there is again a possibility of practicing vipassana from there on, because you're focusing on the sensations, focusing on the feelings. And again, it depends on which level of concentration one has developed from there. Sometimes it could be from the 3rd, and then sometimes could be 4th, and that's how you can see the different stages from on. That's how you can see the difference, the body, for breath body, and this a flesh body, and then how this mind has developed the nimitta, the focus attention, either in the breath or the abdomen or wherever you feel comfortable to pay attention to it. Okay? So from there, and then that one, from there starting, now here, another perspective we have to look at here is that now from the Patisambhida Magga, it is explaining that you can practice vipassana meditation from the beginning. Whereas from the Visuddhimagga, you cannot practice until you attain the third or the fourth stage of the Kayanupassana. Then you can practice the Vipassana meditation within that there's 16 stages. Now what we have to remember here that the very moment when our mind is intent to do something from based on this sutta, the second sutta, so here we always have to remember whether we are starting from the vipassana or whether starting from the samatha meditation. But eventually it comes to the stage that it's based on our mental state, what we intend to do. So that's why when in a practice, we can practice from the breathing meditation to start off and straight away move into the seeing that this breath is changing all the time. And if we can't see this breath as a change, then again we can see that this breath I can observe because of the sensation. So you're starting from the sensation level. And then sometimes not the sensation, but through this breath, able to see that how my mind early on it was thinking about something, and now I can see this breath. So awareness of the breath comes. So with that, the awareness of this breath becomes the foundation, but paying attention to the mental state, how my mind is working on. And this is from this discourse actually, when we are paying attention to this mental state, every time when we think about something, then that leads to do or create something else. So it's coming back to the paticcasamuppada now, the dependent origination. So as because of not knowing avijja, then that creates what is sankhara, formation. And that's again based on a volition, intention, our intention. So that creates a volition and a sankhara. And because of having a sankhara, because we have created our we become consciously aware of that and consciously thinking of it, and then that jumps to the existence. Right? And so we create furthermore. And with that creation, again, we are getting a new body, new life, move on, right? Whereas the very moment when we settled on the breath and gain the pure knowledge or clear understanding of it, what we are doing it's just stop there. There is no intention to be or to not to be. We just see it as that condition, and then that's how it ends there. Okay?
You mean just to keep the awareness, or without thinking?
Discernment. Seeing that each thing that we are paying attention to or we are aware of it is basically the conditioned things. Or another way of looking at it, this is a changing nature. Right? So, and now when we see that, in order to see that whole of the spectrum of this changing nature, and until they gain the complete knowledge, which we call the vipassana jnana 16. So the stages of from the nama rupa, the ability to see the different, mind and the matter. And then when we see the mind and the matter, that moment we able to see that because of this conditioning, then we see the samvasana, or the conditioning, how the changes, and then move on, and then with that. Now, with that understanding, then the fourth section of the fourth contemplation of the Manupasana, the anicca, will start there, and then another rest of the 16 stages enlarge from there.
The Vipassana comes after that.
So this is from the Samyutta Nikaya that I refer to, okay? And then further on it says that when you have no conscious vijnana, conscious to create or intention to create, then eventually there will be no suffering. So that's the ending of the suffering. So, anything? I think I stop here.
A lot of to think about.
Yes.
So basically, when you are like meditating, you shouldn't be like expecting anything. Like,
Yeah.
Then it creates sankara.
The moment when you expect, that means your intent to have something. So with that intent to have something, it's like consciously you're thinking, I should have something out of it. And then with that, so you are consciously creating something out of it. And that's how you are further creating.
So is it another word, no desire? Yes? Because you expect it will happen, and if it doesn't happen, you suffer, and you are creating new reality, new.
So we have to see there are two different types of desires. Okay? One desire, never ending. Another desire is possibility of ending. So the simile is, first desire, you have a desire to come to the temple. Once you have arrived, will that desire continue or ends? That ends. Another desire is, let's say, sensual pleasure.
Or being always have.
Always want to have it. You have consumed it, but again, after a while, you want to consume again. Never ending, like that. Now, the desire in Buddhism, basically referring to the first desire. So that's why sometimes people say that you don't have to desire to the Nibbana. But subconsciously we have to have that desire, so that is a good desire. But we are not chasing it. It's like I have known the destination, so I don't need to worry about the destination. All what you need is to work and walk on that. Eventually you will be there. That's all. Right? And each stages that you have arrived, or each stages that you have developed, then you are satisfied with, and you have no more desires on it anymore. You simply move on to it. Move on to it. It's not a repeated desire as an essential desire. Like that. So, I will read one more discourse following that, and then we will practice the loving kindness meditation. Right? So, the second one, at Savatthi, bhikkhus, what one intends and what one plans and whatever one has a tendency towards, this becomes a basis for the maintenance of a consciousness. As I said, when we think about it subconsciously, we will be thinking again and again. And when there is this basis, this will support to establish the consciousness. Right? So we stamped on that this is what I want. Right? When this consciousness is established and has come to growth, so intensity comes and this grows. There is a descent of a nama and a rupa. With a nama and a rupa, as condition, the sixth sense base comes to be. With the sixth sense base as a condition, contact with the contact as a condition, feeling, craving, clinging, existence, birth. With a birth as a condition, aging and a death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, pleasure, and a despair comes to be. Such is the origin of a whole mass of suffering. So again, going back to the same, the suffering that we experience. Now, whereas when one does not intend, and one does not plan, and one does not have a tendency towards anything, no basis exists for the maintenance of a consciousness. When there is no basis, there is no support for the establishing of a consciousness. When consciousness is established or unestablished and does not come to growth, there is no descent of a nama and a form. With that cessation, the whole mass of suffering will be ceased. Like that. So that's how the practice is all about, creating this neutrality in it. And then when we developed our understanding, what we will be doing further on, that I'm aware of that, and in the meantime, developing this four Brahma Viharas here now. Right? So these four Brahma Viharas, they are kindness, compassion, altruistic joy, and the equanimity. So we will be developing in every step. Every step we will be developing in that, simply to appreciate this body as well. So giving a kindness to our life, being compassionate to our own life, and also ability to appreciate what we have achieved. And in the meantime, something we cannot, something we did want to but can't do it, but so that let it be. So it's not like repenting on that, what I wanted to do or not, but let it. So that's called equanimous, upeksha, equanimous mind. Meanwhile, also extending it to the other people, other beings in a similar form. So extending this practice of four Brahma Viharas. So kindness, spread the kindness, compassionate and altruistic joy to others, and then keep the mind in balance. So tranquility, that is. So I end here with this reflection. Any questions or anything anybody wants to share on it? Right, if not, then let's practice loving kindness meditation. David, I have this one. I have this copy.
Okay.
So spend some times observing the body presence here. asking yourself, how am I feeling? How my body is feeling? Is this my body? How this body is feeling? And what sort of thinking going on? Are you having a thought to pay attention to the breath? Or simply noticing this body and the way this body is feeling? Or do you have any desire, intent to have something? When you're going through these thinkings and observing, what about this breath? Is it the breath that coming in and going out that you're observing, or the sensation as the breath touches, or the mind being aware of it? No, whatever the experiences are, whatever the situation we are in, it's okay. Offering kindness to yourself, kindness to your thinking, kindness to your body, kindness to any emotions, disappointments, recognizing that these are the natural phenomena. So being compassionate to it. So being compassionate to the body, to the feeling, to the mind, to the thoughts. And rejoicing each time able to recognize that. And accepting that sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. Sometimes can pay attention to the breath, the feeling, the mind, the phenomena, other times not. It's just changing. It's okay. So offering kindness to ourselves, being compassionate, and rejoicing in the success as well as living it as it is. So mentally you may recite simply to keep you alert. I am okay. I am fine. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be at peace. May I be liberated. And similarly sharing this loving kindness and compassion to all the sentient beings, starting from near to your one, whatever beings there are, or any particular person that you think that they need the most. Bring into your mind and sharing this loving thought. May you be well, may you be happy, may you be at peace. May you be free from suffering. Whatever beings there are, may they be well. May they be happy. May they be free from suffering. May they be free from hatred, ill will, animosity. May they be free from troubles of a body and mind. May they be liberated, liberated. attention back to your hands. Feel the sensations in your hands. And to your body. And feel the sensations in your body. Whatever sensations are there, just be mindful of it. And to your eyes. Feel the tensions in your eyes. And creating intention to open your eyes and come out from the practice as you hear the gong. That's best.
Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhaṃ Bhagavantaṃ Abhivādemi Sawakhato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namassāmi Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho Saṅghang Namāmi.
Thank you.
During COVID time,
Yes.
this Ranjani,
How? What is it?
Samyutta Nikaya.
Samyutta Nikaya. Okay.
I will take it. And you can buy it from legal sources.
Amazon. Amazon? Ah, sorry. Amazon zrozumiałem. I was still thinking seriously about this